I'd like to welcome everybody, and I need to remind you that recent government legislation means that this meeting may now be filmed, photographed or otherwise recorded. It is being recorded tonight. That means if you're participating, you can be recorded. If you're not, and you don't wish to be seen on camera, then give us a shout now, and we will reorganise it somehow so that you aren't on camera. I think really probably just use the start if you have any objection. Okay, right, well, moving on. Apologies for absence.
Apologies, Vice Chairman, from Mrs. Cousins, Richard Kilburn and David Huxtable.
Okay. Nothing from County. Diana, can you enlighten us?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, my main reason for coming this evening obviously is to congratulate the Parish Council on a very successful application, which obviously everybody's heard by now was approved yesterday for the cross-farm development. It was a unanimous support by Sedgemoor Councillors, and I just want to wish the Parish Council every success with the proposal for the future. I note from the last minutes that Councillor Burden mentioned National Grid very briefly. There is an inspectors open meeting for National Grid at Markridge Hall on the 17th of March for residents to make their views known. If there are any other any members of any other parish that wish to attend that meeting, it is open to everybody. I will say, Mr. Chairman, I note on the agenda that there's a couple of other items that you might need some update on, item 10 and 11. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Diana. Richard?
I don't think I can top that really. It was a very exciting day yesterday at Sedgemoor. I managed to keep a straight level face throughout, and there was a good number of people there, both for and against. Theale figured quite large in people's. It was quite a good debate on that, I thought.
Yeah.
It was all very well mannered, so credit to you really. We didn't get the result we wanted there.
No.
I won't bore you with anything else. I've got wasteball on Friday. There's a deafening hush.
Yeah.
So there you go, that's the thrilling life that I'm in.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed. Any declarations of interest from anybody on anything?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. 15 to 10 Blackford Village Hall. I'm on the committee. I better tell people I don't want to be reported to Sedgemoor again. You know, I get it right this time.
I'm supposed to be speaking, Mr. Chairman, and I'm on the committee as well, so where do I stand?
Well, you're speaking for it.
I mean, I'm bringing up a matter to do with Blackford Village Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Do that.
It's all right, because you haven't got no personal finance in it.
No, it's just a statement that you're on the committee.
Just declaration of interest. I think that's fine, but it's a non-pecuniary.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
No, that's right. Yeah.
So people don't get at it, like report us other places.
Moving on. Minute camera.
Minutes have been circulated. Council members.
Is that okay? Can I sign those?
Yep.
What's I'm doing now? Yes. Do we have any?
Only one matter arising, Vice Chairman. It's confirmation speaker of the annual parish assembly. It's going to be Jackie Pitwell, the head at Wedmore Parish Council, who will give us a presentation. Haven't done the agenda yet. I put a note in the Exile of Wedmore News asking if anybody in the village wishes to raise any of that to let me have it in writing, and then I'll get the agenda drawn up. So she will be the sort of guest speaker for the evening.
Okay. Financial matters.
Yeah, books have been checked by William Healy and your good self, and they are all in order, every balances. Could I have two volunteers to check, please? Mike? Thank you. Mike?
Yeah.
Right. Update from the chair of the housing committee.
Well, we have some good news. What? Diane said the crossbar got passed.
and the appeal decision for Hoganhurst was dismissed. So there's not much more I can put to that. I put everything, Richard, so what was going on. So we just wait for the next, whatever happens, I suppose.
Okay.
Go on.
Can I ask that we write a letter to Wedmore Young Farmers that Theale spoke in favour of our development, and 5 other members of the Young Farmers Club attended to support us. So I think we should thank them for turning up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree with that.
These people recognise they turned up.
Contribution.
Yeah.
It was a very good contribution, actually.
Yes.
I have also on this topic, Chairman, I have forwarded copies of the invoices for legal advice today to the land agents. It's quite a substantial amount of money, and asked for reimbursement. And I spoke on the phone. I think we'll go through okay.
Excellent.
Mr. Chairman, I've got the planning decision appeal if anybody wishes to read it.
Disorderly queue, I thought anyone in there.
10 pages.
Yeah. Okay. Light reading.
Yeah.
Right, the next item,
Very much beyond fairly.
yeah, I think I'm going to not deal with 1528 now, because what I'm going to do is turn the camera off for that, because it's policy work and I think it's confidential. Perhaps, can we just go straight to, yeah, I think so, that's all right. 15217.
Just the recycling bins, the playing fields.
Yeah.
Councillor Burton.
Could I suggest, Chairman, we adjourn the meeting so Pete Brown can briefcase?
Pete?
I'll chip in after that, right?
If you would, please. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for letting me speak. Do I have to stand anywhere in particular for the camera, or am I happy here?
Oh, I think we're fine.
Stand on top of it.
Give me some clothes on first.
It's what you say
Thank you.
counts.
If you remember, the Management Committee wrote to the Parish Council to inform them of a decision made in their November meeting to remove the recycling facility from the playing fields. Just as a recap, the decisions to remove the recycling centre were as follows. There's an ongoing problem with fly tipping on the site. People seem to think that if they turn up with, I've collected a television, a set of golf clubs, umbrellas, various gardening pots, pans, full set of crockery was left up there as well, that miraculously it will get recycled. It doesn't get recycled, it sits there until I phone the Sedgemoor and they come and pick it up. Unfortunately, the chances of prosecuting anyone for fly tipping are fairly remote. The other problem are what I describe as nearly recycled items, items that nearly make it into the bins and the skip, but don't, resulting in broken glass lying in the car park and general litter around the site. Bins overflowing, especially when you get towards Christmas or peak holiday times. The delivery doesn't come in, the bins overflow, the waste generally blows around the whole site. If you get a good strong wind and the bins are full, the lids blow open and then the contents neatly dispatch themselves into the ditch behind. All of which leads to a spread of rubbish around the whole site. If Jesse remembers correctly, in the judging of the Field of the Year award, it was commented that Wedmore playing fields had more than their fair share of litter. I would argue that a large percentage of it is generated by the recycling centre. The other thing to do with the recycling centre that the management committee don't feel that they should be wholly responsible for is the twice weekly HGV visits to service the centre, resulting in accelerated wear of the car park, which the management committee are responsible for. We felt that we weren't being anti-green in wishing that the recycling centre was removed, as we felt that doorstep collections had superseded its purpose, and to that end the Green Group agreed. However, the Parish Council wrote to inform us that they would like the recycling centre kept, but at that point we moved ahead with the next stage of getting it removed, which meant that I had a meeting on site with the Somerset Waste Partnership, and they agreed that they would strategically remove the bins. They'd wait till after Christmas because they didn't want the additional volume of recycling going into the doorstep thing, so we agreed on that. But in conversation it became apparent that the recycling centre had a strategic value, which is something I wasn't aware of prior to that. Very much along the lines of, and I'm sure Richard will correct me if I get any of this wrong, but effectively the government pays Sedgemoor District Council for the weight of items that are recycled at recycling centres across the county. That money is then used by Sedgemoor to help subsidise the doorstep collections, and so therefore from a strategic point, the Plainfields Management Committee don't want to upset the apple cart, but those were the reasons for us wanting it removed, but there is a strategic reason why it should remain in place. Now, alongside that argument is, very quickly, that the increased facilities at the playing field, we need to ensure a sustainable income for each of the elements that have got there. The car park, as you know, has doubled its size, and every year we need to put back a maintenance budget and a sinking fund to resurface the car park. The school now make an annual contribution towards the car park, and if the Parish Council wish to retain a recycling centre, then if we can agree a rent for the site, it would act as a regular contribution to the ongoing costs of maintaining the car park moving forward. The reason why I call it a rent as opposed to a grant or a donation is, as a rent we can charge VAT, because we need to have a number of vatable inputs on the site that we can charge VAT for, and obviously the Parish Council can claim it back because you're zero rated. We're aware of all your other help with the projects up at the playing fields, and I'm very grateful for your continued assistance, but this is very much an ongoing responsibility that I feel falls upon the whole community and not just the management committee.
Okay,
thank you.
Reading meeting. Has anybody got any questions for Pete Brown, Mr. Brown?
How much does the school pay?
The school are paying £1,800 a year
For the whole car park for everyday term?
for their use of the car park.
Yeah.
What sort of sum of money are you thinking?
Well, I made it known at the last management committee meeting that it would be very nice if the Parish Council were able to match that. Obviously it depends on how the Parish Council view it.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
You mentioned the litter and the overflowing issues. Taking a rent for the recycling centre, that's not going to deal with that issue, is it? So,
No.
What is your priority?
No, my issue would be that if the Parish Council wished to pay a rent for the site, that then the Parish Council, through, I would assume, regular visits from the orderly, would actually maintain and look after the site and make the phone calls to Sedgemoor that I currently do on their behalf, because they're taking responsibility for the recycling centre, because it's a parish facility, not a playing fields facility.
Anybody got any comments?
Can I take a counter through this, Chairman?
Please.
I put a paper in front of all of you because my job at Sedgemoor is the environment portfolio, so I can probably put a bit more background to this before you make a decision, but I think it's useful for you to know stuff. I don't have an extra grind either way, but there are points to be put in favour of retaining. There are obviously points to be put against as well. I'll put it all together fairly in. The facility at Wedmore is well used. DC Smith, who's the operator, tells Sedgemoor it's one of the busiest sites in the district in terms of the tonnage collected. There are 10 sites in Sedgemoor, all of which are cost neutral or better. How it works is this: Sedgemoor pay DC Smith a sum of money every year to supply the facility. The tonnage that is collected of recyclables, this is where Pete's got the story but not all of it, is sent to the county. The county is the waste authority for Somerset. That recyclable is measured in tonnes, and that's tonnes that doesn't have to go to landfill. There's a charge of 58 odd quid a tonne for landfill at the moment. So that then gets paid back to Sedgwick. So it replaces what they paid DC Smith to run the centres with a little bit left over. Curbside collection. Now, that's not as easy as it seems, because I've always thought it must be much easier to put your recycling down the bottom of the path in the front gate than it is to take it all the way to the landfill. But people do it from choice. They still do it from choice. It's a conscious decision. There is a downside in diverting that quite large tonnage that's collected down there to the weekly round would considerably increase the load on the recycling collections, so that your lorries, in terms of time and vehicle movements, will be increasing collection costs and will ultimately put the council tax up, because the lorries already have to go back to a tip to offload and then come back to the village, and you're going to get a lot more of that, either that or there's going to be more vehicles. So as you know, there's always a downside. The one parallel that worries me, and you may say I don't think it's a parallel, was back in 2010, the county trying to trim its budget, cut the opening hours at recycling centres. The immediate result was a 50% increase in fly tipping across the county. Fly tips cost Sedgmoor £26 a pop to move. Now, by sort of nicking people and prosecuting them and what have you, they've managed to reduce it from 50% to 25% more than it was in 2010. It's been blooming hard work. So, there you go. Is that a parallel? I don't know. I could see if you took that facility away, the same thing would happen as if you took recycling centres. People go, I'll go and dump it on the moor. Now the thing is that the council is obliged to remove fly tips from the public highway and from council land. It is not obliged to remove them from private land, and playing fields are in this instance private land. They charge. That needs to be taken into account as well. Now, Parish Council doesn't want to recycle facility onto the village car park for good reasons. So the argument is, do we want a recycling centre in the village or not? It's yes, no. Plainfield might have a compromise figure in mind. I don't know. I'm just saying that I think, for me, I guess on balance, we would miss that facility being that it is useful. I was just probably against what Pete's thinking with his VAT option is whether we could make we give money to the playing fields practically year on year, month on month, some people might say. I'm just wondering whether we could give them an annual grant, say £1,000 a year on the understanding of facility state, give it a try for a year or two to see what happens. They would start to put their case if they've got more specific projects. See, although they've been very successful in getting grant monies for their projects, as it were, and for the facilities, which are getting really more and more excellent, but they are getting close to completing. Their next problem is going to be maintaining them, is getting the income to keep those facilities up to scratch. You don't get grants for that. You've got to generate the income. So they have got to generate their income, either by charging for pitches, rooms, whatever. They're going to have to make charges. So that was one small alternative.
Hang on, please. Does anybody else have any comments they'd like to make?
I think that because it's a sort of 7-day-a-week, 24/7 recycling centre, that people choose to go there that live out of the area rather than going to Cheddar because they can't get in. So I don't think that the amount of waste or recycling that's left there is necessarily representative of just Wedmore's waste. you know, given the fact that we do have weekly collections outside the doorstep, wasn't there some detective work done last year where a lot of the cardboard was traced back to an industrial waste? Alfred was saying that he traced it back to an industrial cardboard waste from Highbridge. So who are we providing the recycling centre for? It doesn't sound like it's for Wedmore villagers to me.
Right. So what do we think about the possibility of increased fly tipping?
I've got a question. Who decided to put the recycling bins there? Who was the initial outlay? Jess, do you know?
No.
It wasn't Parish Council?
No.
Green Group.
No,
Lost in the mist of time.
Green Group.
Green Group. Perhaps the Green Group should pay for them.
Andrew?
I think you have to kind of look at this in the round. I would say, personally speaking, I would say it's probably a good idea to have a recycling centre in the village. Although they argue that there are wayside collection or roadside collections in the green and black bins, they're not that big, and you need a decent weekend and you overflow those often. So people do take a lot of bottles and other material to the recycling centre, so I think it's important that we do have one. I also think it's important that the REC maintain a sinking fund for the car park. Otherwise, in future, that's just going to be a financial demand on the parish council. Because if it does need a lump of money, we're going to be asked to pay anyway. So I think actually the solution is quite a good one that we've got here. It's just a question of how much we put into it.
There's a buried cost there for us as well, isn't it? How much have we...
It's not measurable either, you can't predict it, can you?
Any ideas, Rob?
No, she's between, at the moment, between £160 and £190 a month we pay her.
Right.
Might be an extra couple of hours a week, I suppose.
Pete, would you say that was an extra couple of hours work a week for the orderlies to keep that different?
She cleans the player at the moment, doesn't she?
I don't know that she would need to actually physically clean it, just to inspect it, report back, because Sedgemoor have an efficient service for coming and cleaning it up, but it always falls on us, the management committee, to phone them up and say, come and sort it out, come and sort it out, come and sort it out.
Right, okay. Yeah, your other point.
I have, my one other point is, as long back as both Phil Patch and I can remember, the parish council have, and this is where we don't want any confusion, that have always made a £1,000 amenity grant to the playing fields anyway, and I didn't want the two to get confused. That was an ongoing, I think that came from when the Board of Trustees was originally established between Fields in Trust and the parish council. So you already pay £1,000 annually, but that's towards the running of the management committee and the site and everything else. This is specifically the car park and the recycling centre.
Right.
Okay.
So,
Can I say, Mr. Chairman, we go up there once a week when we go that way, because I used to put my paper outside and it would blow everywhere. Yes, I put a block on it. Then I got told one day by the recycling people they didn't want a block put on it. So I took it up, and we go up there once a week. We do not see too much rubbish up there. We do see the odd bit, and I'll pick it up. But I think we've got to keep it there, because I've seen mums taking their children to school and recycling the stuff they want to put back in there. And there is a terrific movement of traffic with children in the morning and night. So I do think we've got to keep it, but it's debatable what we give them. How we pay them a grant or what.
Chairman, I might be able to help here.
please.
I just started rummaging around the books on this one. And you may remember me saying that the Wedmore site's a very heavily used one. It's a lot of tonnes over the course of a year. So my guess is it makes quite a return over the others. I would think that I could talk to Environment at Sedgemoor and maybe say, do you think you could help out in some small little way from your surplus? I mean, obviously it's money out of their bunts fund, if you like, to the parish, but I think they probably prefer to go direct to the playing fields, which would be much better for us, really. The other thing I think, Pete, is you do get on quite well with Sedgemoor, don't you? With clean surroundings.
Yeah.
And it's a fuzzy area, but they seem to be quite happy to come out and give you a dusting round every now and then. And, well, come and, when you ask, they come and get stuff, don't they?
Yeah.
Because it's on their route to do other things, so it's not too much their way. So I think we could, provided we keep them sweet and behave, I think that would help too, with the occasional clear up. A couple of sort of fuzzy ones there, but I'm quite happy to look into the main side and see if we can get a few hundred.
Well, that would be good. But can we now have a proposal for what this parish does to help the playing fields? Can I have a proposal from anybody?
Well, I think £1,800 is a bit much. That's going to be a lot of money in a slush fund for tarmacking in 10, 15 years' time, won't it?
I'm going back a little bit on what Pete said about VAT and all that. And I was thinking of a figure as a rent, if they could, you know, have the VAT as well, and we could be able to claim it back, say £1,000 plus VAT, for to keep the recycling centre there, and our village orderly would go and make sure that it's kept clean and tidy, basically.
Or into inform.
I'll second that one.
That proposal, I listen to everybody around the table.
I'll second that.
Put everything together.
See how it goes. I will second that.
Can we have a vote on that one? £1,000 plus an orderly? £1,000 plus VAT and an orderly.
For a trial period.
Plus,
yeah.
For a year.
For a year.
For a year.
As a rent.
Yeah.
Be a rent,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Okay. Consensus on that? Do we
Agree?
I think it's worth a try.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can extract
If
anything.
you can, that would be good. I think, been a quick head count in, that would like a...
Can I ask that the orderly knows the numbers are in the sector of the pen couple of that?
She'll probably ring me, I expect,
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Because
Well,
when
unless she
any
rings
rubbish
me.
is cleaned up out there, it's
Well, it's
well.
like graffiti, isn't it? If you get rid of it straight away.
Yeah.
Don't get it.
Is that alright, Pete?
Yeah, thank you very much.
So we've given it a trial for a year.
Yeah,
Alright.
I mean, the parish are welcome at any time to remove the site if they don't want it anymore.
We want it. I should know what it
Alright, so we move on to the next. I'm going to shift another item around. I'm going to go to the request from Blackford Village Hall Committee. Yeah, 15210.
Mr. Bloomer is here, he's the chairman of the Village Hall Committee, I think. And,
Here to observe, yes. I'm sure Pete's better equipped to speak about it than I am.
You might be quicker.
Well, Mr. Chairman, we had a meeting of the Village Hall Committee, and the running of the Village Hall is seemingly, I think people would agree, it runs very well. But we've got this ongoing thing of the lane and whether we should tarmac it or not. And we've had lots and lots, and I've got two pieces here which we agreed at the meeting with the chairman that I would be able to hand these two things over, which are basically addressed to the Village Hall Committee. But one is from the Assistant Highway Service Manager, and according to our records, this lane is not a adopted highway. It is classified as a restricted byway, so it is intended for non-motor vehicles only. And I think it's something that we just, well, that we just can't get to the bottom of. Is that right, Steve?
That particular issue, yes, though I'm in conversation with Mark Stanley Smith from Hugh. My belief is that it is actually owned by Hugh Sexy's trust.
Right.
That loan. Looking at the deeds of the village halls, it makes it. It seems clear to me that it's owned by the Sexy's trust, and the county council there was saying it's not us.
Yes, I mean,
my interpretation of that.
Yes. And I did bring that up with the new member of the visitors today, which Martin met as well. But I mean, that's that issue. The other was that we asked the council for planning. Is that right? For tarmacking the car park.
Right. Would you do the application?
Yes. Right. Would the parish council be prepared to do that application?
Well, would you do the application and the parish puts its name on it?
Well,
yes,
that's
Chairman, if I could just help out a little bit. I spoke to the District Planning Officer yesterday at Sedgemoor to find out, firstly, A, if you needed planning permission, and B, what the cost of the planning fees would be. And she couldn't tell me on either account. It all depends. And what she did suggest, which I thought was quite sensible actually, was that the management committee have a meeting, or like a pre-application meeting with the planning department, with the planning officer at Sedgemoor, to show them exactly what they're going to do, what the plans are, because they need to know how much hardcore is going to go in, where the drains are going to go, and things like this. It's quite complex. It's not just a question of us putting a form in. They really want to know quite a bit of homework from you people beforehand. That's the message I got yesterday from her. And the fees, well, I don't know what the fees will be. And I understand Councillor Bayliss might have a view about whether planning permission is required at all for some of the work.
Do you want to speak, Dan?
Yes, if you allow me, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, in terms of if it's just standard, straightforward resurfacing, in my opinion, a planning permission wouldn't be required. But then Councillor Cahill mentioned lighting and all sorts, then that obviously would need planning approval. As far as the fees are concerned, they can't calculate the fee until they know the exact square meterage that's going to be covered. So that's why Mr. Pring couldn't get an answer yesterday.
Thank you.
And what's the per meterage rate? Is there a rate per?
Yes, there is.
There is, and we can find that rate.
Yes, if you go into the planning portal and type in type of development and square meterage, it'll tell you exactly how much that is.
I think, Chairman, the major question tonight for us and the members is are they in favour of making the planning application? That's the first thing.
I think that's fair enough, but have we got enough information in the light of what has been said?
I think
to
probably
make that
not.
decision.
Sounds like you need to find out.
Probably not. But I mean, we could make an in principle. I would have thought.
Yeah, I would have thought so. Yeah. More than happy to make in principle.
The planning officer yesterday said that I could explain the reduced fees, and she accepted that village halls, of course, are community projects, and that's just what the reduced fees are for.
Yes.
For something like that.
Well, I'd propose it in principle, yes. We would do.
Someone second that? And in principle. Right. So, but it puts the onus back on you guys to do the research and find out costs and what's going to be involved from our point of view.
Do they get charged for pre-application advice? It's not free.
No.
So you better know that. It might only be 80 quid, but up.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so we weren't aware that it wasn't a fixed price, so I completely accept that we need to make you aware of what the costs would be.
Please. Okay. Yeah. You happy with this?
Yes. I mean, it's back in our court as far as that's concerned, with a sort of principle that at least you're sympathetic.
Yes, I'm sympathetic.
To what is happening.
Okay. Right. I'm going to shuffle the order again. I'm going to turn the camera off because we've got 2 or 3 items now which we can deal with at one time, and they are confidential. So,
thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Turn that off. Cheers.
Mr. Stock, there'll be some confidential work going on.